Yes, it is possible to use a K4UT 400 amp meter pack and run parallel 250 mCm/THHN conductors up through the weatherhead without replacing anything from the gutter box onwards. The general procedure involves several key steps. Firstly, install the K4UT 400 amp meter pack. Secondly, connect the existing 250 mCm/THHN conductors coming from the gutter box directly to the new meter pack. Thirdly, ensure a secure and compliant connection from the meter pack to the 400 amp service entrance conductors. Fourthly, and finally, meticulously seal all openings around the newly installed meter pack and the weatherhead to ensure a robust and long-lasting weather-resistant installation. Before starting, it is crucial to verify that the K4UT 400 amp meter pack is indeed compatible with the existing service entrance conductors and the overall electrical system of the commercial building. Employ proper connectors throughout the installation process and adhere strictly to the manufacturer's specifications when tightening or torquing these connectors. Adherence to all applicable electrical codes and standards, including the 2008 National Electrical Code, is not optional, it is required. Correct sizing of the weatherhead for the given service entrance conductors is also essential. Before commencing the upgrade, verify if permits and inspections are mandated by the local authorities having jurisdiction, and obtain these permits if needed. Working with electrical systems, especially at 400 amps, requires careful planning and adherence to safety practices. Ensure that all conductors are properly sized, grounded, and insulated to prevent electrical hazards. The proper selection of connectors is vital for creating reliable and long-lasting connections, as well as ensuring that these connectors are listed and labeled for the specific application. Using split-bolt connectors in the existing configuration requires careful inspection for any signs of corrosion or damage, and consideration should be given to replacing them with more modern and reliable connector types if necessary. The use of 1/0 THHN conductors to feed the 60 amp disconnects and subpole raises concerns about ampacity. According to the 2008 National Electrical Code, 1/0 THHN conductors, depending on the installation conditions, may not be adequate for a 60 amp circuit. Refer to National Electrical Code Table 310.16 to determine the allowable ampacity of 1/0 THHN conductors based on the specific installation conditions, such as the ambient temperature and the number of current carrying conductors in the raceway. If the ampacity of the 1/0 THHN conductors is less than 60 amps, it is necessary to upgrade these conductors to a size that is appropriate for the load. It is also crucial to ensure that the overcurrent protection for the 60 amp disconnects and subpole is properly sized to protect the conductors. The overcurrent protection should not exceed the ampacity of the conductors. Pay close attention to grounding and bonding throughout the electrical system. Grounding provides a path for fault current to return to the source, which helps to protect against electrical shock hazards. Bonding ensures that all metal parts of the electrical system are electrically connected, which also helps to reduce the risk of electrical shock. Verify that all grounding and bonding connections are properly made and that the grounding electrode system is adequate for the size of the service. Consider the working space around the electrical equipment. The National Electrical Code requires adequate working space around electrical equipment to allow for safe operation and maintenance. Ensure that there is sufficient clearance in front of the equipment and that the equipment is accessible for inspection and repair. Also, ensure that the area is well lit and free from obstructions. Consider the load calculations for the upgraded service. Determine the total load that the service will be supplying and verify that the service is adequately sized to handle the load. This involves calculating the demand load for all of the connected loads, including lighting, receptacles, and equipment. The load calculation should be performed in accordance with the National Electrical Code requirements. The 30-inch by 18-inch by 10-inch junction box without a cover presents a safety hazard and violates electrical code requirements. All junction boxes must be equipped with covers to protect against accidental contact with energized conductors and to prevent the entry of foreign objects. Since the existing junction box cannot be reused due to the missing cover, it is necessary to replace it with a new junction box that is properly sized for the conductors and connections. The new junction box should be made of a suitable material, such as metal or non-metallic, and it should be equipped with a cover that is securely fastened. When installing the new junction box, ensure that all conductors are properly supported and protected from damage. Also, ensure that the junction box is accessible for inspection and maintenance. The meter pack also lacks a cover, which also presents a safety hazard. All meter packs must be equipped with covers to protect against accidental contact with energized conductors and to prevent the entry of foreign objects. The K4 UT 400 amp meter pack should come with a cover that is properly sized and securely fastened. Verify that the cover is in good condition and that it is properly installed. If the cover is missing or damaged, it should be replaced immediately. When working with parallel conductors, it is important to ensure that all of the conductors are the same length, size, and insulation type. This helps to ensure that the current is evenly distributed among the conductors and that the conductors do not overheat. A parallel conductor should also be installed in the same raceway or cable. When terminating parallel conductors, use connectors that are specifically designed for use with parallel conductors. The connectors should be properly sized for the conductors and they should be torqued to the manufacturer's specifications. Also, ensure that all of the conductors are properly identified to prevent confusion during installation and maintenance. When running conductors through a weatherhead, it is important to ensure that the weatherhead is properly sized for the conductors and that it is installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. The weatherhead should be securely fastened to the building and it should be positioned to prevent water from entering the raceway. Also, ensure that the conductors are properly supported as they exit the weatherhead. When sealing openings around the meter pack on weatherhead, use a sealant that is specifically designed for use in electrical applications. This sealant should be waterproof and resistant to ultraviolet light. Apply this sealant liberally to all openings to prevent water from entering the equipment. Also, ensure that the sealant is compatible with the materials of the meter pack, weatherhead, and conductors. Obtain all necessary permits and inspections before starting the electrical work. Permits are required for most electrical work to ensure that the work is performed in accordance with the electrical code. Inspections are performed by qualified electrical inspectors to verify that the work is done correctly and safely. Contact the local building department to determine the permit requirements and to schedule inspections. Working with electricity is dangerous, and it is important to take precautions to protect against electrical shock hazards. Always de-energize the electrical circuits before working on them. Use insulated tools and equipment. Wear personal protective equipment, such as rubber gloves and safety glasses. Also, be aware of the potential for arc flash hazards and take steps to protect against them. If you are not qualified to perform electrical work, hire a qualified electrician to do the work for you. Electrical work should only be performed by persons who are trained and experienced in electrical work. In summary, upgrading a commercial building service entrance involves careful planning, attention to detail, and adherence to all applicable electrical codes and standards. Before starting any work, thoroughly assess the existing electrical system and identify any potential problems. Select equipment and materials that are appropriate for the application. Follow all manufacturer's instructions and use proper installation techniques. Also, be sure to obtain all necessary permits and inspections. By following these steps, you can ensure that the electrical work is performed safely and correctly. The K4UT meter pack should be listed by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories, to ensure that it meets safety standards. The meter pack should also be suitable for the environmental conditions in which it will be installed. For example, if the meter pack will be exposed to rain or snow, it should be rated for wet locations. The conductors should be sized according to the ampacity requirements of the load. The ampacity of a conductor is the amount of current that it can safely carry without overheating. The ampacity of a conductor depends on the size of the conductor, the insulation type, and the installation conditions. The National Electrical Code provides tables that list the ampacity of conductors based on these factors. The overcurrent protection should be sized to protect the conductors from overload. The overcurrent protection can be a circuit breaker or a fuse. The overcurrent protection should be sized no larger than the ampacity of the conductors. The grounding electrode system should be installed in accordance with the National Electrical Code requirements. The grounding electrode system provides a path for fault current to return to the source, which helps to protect against electrical shock hazards. The grounding electrode system typically consists of a ground rod, a ground plate, or a metal water pipe that is buried in the ground. The working space around the electrical equipment should be adequate to allow for safe operation and maintenance. The National Electrical Code specifies the minimum working space that is required around electrical equipment. The working space should be clear of obstructions and should be well lit. The load calculation should be performed in accordance with the National Electrical Code requirements. The load calculations are used to determine the total load that the service will be supplying. The load calculations should take into account all of the connected loads, including lighting, receptacles, and equipment. The missing cover on the junction box and the meter pack should be replaced immediately. The covers provide protection against accidental contact with energized conductors and prevent the entry of foreign objects. The cover should be made of a suitable material and should be securely fastened. All conductors should be properly supported and protected from damage. The conductors should be supported by cable ties, straps, or other approved methods. The conductors should also be protected from physical damage by raceways or other enclosures. Parallel conductors should be installed in accordance with the National Electrical Code requirements. Parallel conductors should be the same length, size, and insulation type. The parallel conductors should also be installed in the same racewire or cable. The weatherhead should be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. The weatherhead should be securely fastened to the building and should be positioned to prevent water from entering the raceway. The sealant should be applied liberally to all openings around the meter pack and weatherhead. The sealant should be waterproof and resistant to ultraviolet light. The sealant should also be compatible with the materials of the meter pack, weatherhead, and conductors. All necessary permits and inspections should be obtained before starting the electrical work. Permits are required for most electrical work to ensure that the work is performed in accordance with the electrical code. Inspections are performed by qualified electrical inspectors to verify that the work is done correctly and safely. Working with electricity is dangerous, and it is important to take precautions to protect against electrical shock hazards. Always energize the electrical circuits before working on them. Use insulated tools and equipment. Wear personal protective equipment such as rubber gloves and safety glasses. If you are not qualified to perform electrical work, hire a qualified electrician to do the work for you. Remember, safety is paramount when working with electrical systems.